Hello viewers, welcome again to another edition of the University Students Forum. With me today I have a very industrious young man, a young man who has been doing great stuff at the University of the Gambia. So I'll be talking to him about his university experience, how far he have gone with his studies and what actually he's doing right now and some of the projects that he's working on and his ambitions at the University of the Gambia. My guest, good afternoon, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Tijan.
Yes, your name and can you introduce yourself a little bit?
Thank you so much, Mr. Ba. It is indeed my enormous pleasure to be invited on this platform here today. I go by the name Kemo. I'm finally a political science student at the University of the Gambia, and of course the aspiring presidential candidate for the upcoming University of the Gambia elections under the placard of Team Solutions, a team that I pioneered since 2018 November election when I was serving as the president of the Social Sciences and Humanities Student Association, University of the Gambia, an executive that you also served.
Of course. Yes, an executive that I definitely served, the Social Sciences Students Association. But we will come to that, Kemo. But first of all, Kemo, let's come to how you come to the University of the Gambia. What really inspired you to come to the University of the Gambia, and how has it been so far for Kemo Fati?
Thank you so much, Mr. Tijan. I think that's indeed a very important question. Well, for me, before coming to University of the Gambia, I could say politics is something that I love so much since childhood. I could remember when I was in primary school, I used to say to myself, well, I want to study politics. In my junior school, I was involved in so many extracurricular activities program. I was the first head boy of my junior school, St. Teresa's Basic Cycle School, who had a score to Nusrat Senior Secondary School. It was indeed a great moment for me and in my family too. When I was in junior school, Mr. Tijan, I faced so many challenges, to be honest. But of course, some of these challenges helped me to succeed in life. Because I thought I have a dream, to be that better person in my family, and being one of those people in my family member who attend university education is something to be proud of. I know it's really very inspiring today. So I attended my early education in a nearby village called Flabantang, at a school called St. Teresa's Basic Cycle School. That's where I attended my early education. But as a tradition in our family, Mr. Tijan, we normally start from Arabic school. So I started an Arabic school education at Taifa up to grade 5. Then from there, in 2005, I started primary school. So I started from primary 2, then to primary 6. But when I was in school, Tijan, I used to be very stubborn. I could say I was raised by a single mother because I lost my father when I was 3 years old. But this illiterate mom, to be honest with you, really encouraged me so much, to love what I'm doing. I could remember sometimes if I deliberately failed to go to school, she would sit down and cry for the whole day because she doesn't love beating me. So that gives me a critical thinking that if she is crying for me not to go to school, or about me not to go to school, and what should I do? Because I also believe that sometimes they see that life, they see that dream ahead of us, So I thought it was very important for me to be serious with education. So normally she would report me to my teachers. I used to be an outstanding student though, but at a childhood time, I find it very difficult to cope with that situation because normally I don't love going to school. So in my grade 7 towards grade 9, things were a little bit changed for me because maturity came, and then I thought I should do something, and I owed that to myself. I was like, let me become serious now. That was the time I started, being engaged in some of these extracurricular activity programs. I was also elected as a student leader in St. Teresa's Basic Cycle School, Flabantang. Then from there in 2012, we sat WAS examination. I came out with a flying color as one of the most outstanding students to have admission to Nusrat Senior Secondary School. Then it was very challenging, but my dream was to come to Nusrat, and I did. With the grace of Almighty Allah, it helped me so much. So then I succeeded to go to Nusrat Senior Secondary School. In Nusrat, I wasn't that much involved in extracurricular activities programs because I was thinking to go to the University of the Gambia. So I was more or less engaged in football, and of course there is one vibrant club in Nusrat called History and Government Club. I used to be very, very vibrant in that club, but I didn't take any executive role. So I was engaged in so many things, but I also was very, very serious into my education at Nusrat Senior Secondary School until I graduated in 2015, and then proceeded to another institution where I engaged myself in computer literacy at Humanity Fest. While I was at Humanity Fest, I also delivered some services to my students, to my comrades in the lower Flado, because I had to go back to my village and make sure that I have some training with the students. And I also organized some study classes. So I joined the University of the Gambia in 2017 on the field of political science, my dream field. Things were a little bit changing at the University of the Gambia, because when I came to UTG, I thought it's going to be a life-changing moment for me. But nobody can change that. I have to change that life for myself. So in 2017, my first year, second semester, I contested as an Auditor General under the Social Sciences and Humanities Student Association. Then I think you were my president, right? Yes. You were also an aspiring president under the same placard.
Of course, of course.
Yeah, so I contested, I went on a post for Auditor General. I thought it was very early for me, but it really prepares me so much for future careers. So while I was serving as an Auditor General, things were a little bit down, things were a little bit very, very difficult then, because the executive that we met in office could not make any financial headway, let me say that. So it was a little bit difficult, but our executive, and then through my independent auditing system too, also helped us a lot. We try to organize fundraising programs where we raise the association's account from $0 to $64,000. And now from Auditor General, I said to myself, I think this could pave a way for me to move further. Then from Auditor, we organized one of the biggest events in the Social Sciences and Humanities Student Association called the Social Science and Humanities Student Association Week.
Of course.
Yeah, in that weekly event, I learned so many things. Despite I was an Auditor General, but I learned so many things there. I work in tandem with the Office of the Secretary General and of course the President to see some of the things that they do. So we also organized a nationwide program. That was an event I started, campaign, to contest for presidency. So from Auditor General, I contested for position of presidency in the same association. That was where I formed this team Solutionist.
Okay, Kemo. We will come to the politics. But first of all, I want us to go into a little bit of the academics and what really inspired you to study political science. Why not law? Why not the humanities? You studied the arts, right?
Yes.
So what inspired you to study political science, and why not the other courses, and why political science, and how did you get into all these activities? Were there some people that inspired you or something like? And I understand that you were coming from somewhere and you wanted to get somewhere, but did somebody inspire you, and why did you choose political science?
Well, as I told you, Mr. Tijan, political science is a dream for me. Like I said, when I was in junior school, I love politics because one of the things that I love doing is serving people. This is why for me, leadership is nothing more than helping others to succeed.
Of course.
And I believe the best way to do that is to understand the theoretical concept and the practical concept of leadership. And one of those areas that inspired me here in the University of the Gambia is political science. Because this is an area where you will understand policy implementation, policy formulation, you will understand society. As Syriad Mail always say that, neither the life of an individual nor the history of our own society could be understood without understanding both.
Of course.
So if you look at this intellectual connotation, you will definitely believe that political science is a broad area. It's an area where you can study so many things. It's an area where you can understand society. It's an area where you can see the way people live in the society. It's an area that gives you that practical knowledge to understand the living condition of the society.
Of course.
So if you understand that, obviously you can really make a good leader. So this is what I thought of. And Barack Obama is someone who really inspired me so much. He was a political science student, and from political science he also studied law in Harvard University. But at the University of Chicago, he studied political science. So this is where he started his career. So I think it's going to be a very good move for some of us too to understand politics and know how policies are formulated or implemented and understand the way people
Okay,
live outside it.
Kemo, we will talk briefly also on your on the academics. You should be in your third or fourth year now.
Yeah,
so how has been the academic side been for you before we come to the politics? How has the academic side been for you at the university, and what are your own experiences?
Tijan, life used to be very, very challenging. Tijan, I think I have faced so many difficulties in life, but like I said, they helped me to, to build that confidence, to move on with life. Because when I was coming to Nusrat, Tijan, it was a little bit hard for me because I saw at some point I couldn't have anyone to sponsor my education. Like I said, I was raised by a single mother who paid my tuition fee single-handedly up to my high school. So when I was in Nusrat too, things were a little bit hard for me until when I had an opportunity to be involved in, to be one of the beneficiaries of a scholarship scheme called Jurarim Education for Youth Excellence. That was in my grade 11, where 8 of us from Nusrat Senior Secondary School were beneficiaries of that scholarship. That was a time things were a little bit better for me. But at Nusrat, it was really hard for me, Tijan. I could say even at Nusrat sometimes it's very, very hard for me to have lunch.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but I think those are challenges that we should really overcome. Yeah. So really, it wasn't really good for me at the high school level.
Amazing, amazing. Viewers, we will take our first break. We'll be right back with more with Kemo Fati, his political aspirations, and what he's actually doing at this moment at the University of the Gambia. We'll be right back after the break.
Welcome to the Gambia. This is where we call the land of smiling coast.
You be the queen of my life, baby, come around, make you come be my baby mama. Anything when you want, I go give up to you, come dance, make I go mania. Baby, na yango, 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 baby, na yango.
Welcome back, viewers. I'm your host Tijan Ba. My host today is the industrious Kemo Fati. So Kemo, we were talking about your story so far, how you got into the university, some of the things that you have done so far. And so we've got to the level where, you are in your third, fourth year. You were the president of the Social Sciences and Humanities Students Association. Now you are looking forward, to other aspirations. So what is Kemo doing right now, and what is there for Kemo in the near future?
Thank you so much, Mr. Tijan, for that wonderful question. Like I said, what really inspired me more to venture into student politics is because I've seen so many enormous challenges in the University of the Gambia right now. And I believe UTG students deserve a very vibrant student council that would translate those commitments into actionable programs. And to do that, sometimes it could be a far-fetched issue for some people. But I think having gone through all these student leadership programs, I think that helps me a lot to aspire for some of these positions with the little experience that I've gathered, and of course with the little consultation that I've made, at students level. Because I've conducted several research regarding university problems, and I have interacted with so many student leaders in the University of the Gambia. And then I think at least I am better to know most of these problems in the university, and we have feasible policies that will help us to attain some of these problems that the UTG students are faced with right now. And then with regards to the future, Tijan, I think the future is bright for young people in this country. It is high time we started building that commitment and zeal in transforming this nation. Because I always love that idea that the not too young to run policy is something which is very, very beautiful. And we've been seeing commitment from young people since 2018, since 2016, when we removed a dictatorial regime in our country. But still now, hopes are still shattered when our draft constitution was refuted, by the National Assembly. I think still now, as young people, we also have a role to play here, because I believe the reason why we made that change is to make sure that we revert the 1997 constitution, and go for a constitution that represents the wills and aspirations of the country. But contrary to our expectations, we saw that constitution has been rejected, by the National Assembly members, which was quite very, very appalling and disappointing. But still now we have a role to play as young people, and then we as university students must not allow our nation to go into ransom, to drill down. So I think we also have a role to play. All what we can do right now is to make a clarion call, to call on all civil society organizations, and form a coordination program, where we also voice out our concern. Because apart from the social media campaign, I've not seen any civil society organization in the Gambia that stood to say that we've rejected the idea, we've rejected the annulment of our constitution. It's very, very bad. So I think we also have a role to play. We should converge at one place and make sure that we voice out our concern, to the government of the Gambia, and particularly to the National Assembly members.
Of course, Kemo, very, very inspiring, words there from, the industrious Kemo Fati. So Kemo, I'll bring you back to the university a little bit. What do you think are some of the changes that, should be made at the university? I understand that management is doing absolutely fantastically well, with the virtual classes, and I understand that now they are introducing hybrid classes where there could be virtual classes and also, on-site classes. So what do you think about the university? What do you think, could be better? And if you are voted as the president of the student union, what are some of those policies that you wish to implement?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Tijan. Well, our challenges at the University of the Gambia, if you look at it holistically, cannot be overlooked. It is a university where students will carry a chair from one class to another. Very, very sad, Tijan. It is a university where students will struggle to go to toilets. It is a university where our mothers and sisters will struggle to have birth, when they see their natural period, which is also very, very sad at some point. It is also a university that lacks partnership with other universities around the globe. And I think we've experienced something since 1965 from Africa. Nations have moved from colonialism to independence. And now we've seen another new paradigm shift, that is from independence to connection and networking. So this shows to you that no nation can stand alone, rather a university. So this is what the University of the Gambia is also lacking. You have thousands of students in the UTG who are deferring their semesters. Right now, I've seen more than 100 students in the UTG that are deferring their semesters simply because of lack of financial support. We've all faced that in the University of the Gambia. Of course. You understand? So it's really very, very sad. And right now, the government-sponsored students at the university is just 1,061 students, as reported by the president in his state of address, which is very, very sad. Imagine the only state university that we have is the University of the Gambia. So to have only 1,061 students sponsored by the government, Tijan, is really not encouraging at all. Classes are not sufficient in the University of the Gambia. The University of the Gambia could not even accommodate the number of students that it enroll in a year or per semester. So that's also very, very sad. Coming back to our problems again, Tijan, it is quite also very, very pathetic to see a university lacking partnership. Because if you look at the Gambia is a British-speaking country. You understand? But yet we have no partnership with any British university. This is why Team Solution is. I think we have a dream. And then.
So what's the dream?
Yes, in April, in our campaign trail, when I stood in front of a class and said we want to build partnership with the universities in the UK and in America, opposition leaders will say this is unattainable. He's just giving a mere promises. But today, Team Solutions through Gunjur project have formed a very strong partnership, with John Moore University in the United Kingdom, who donated the University of the Gambia 25 brand new microscopes through Gunjur project to Team Solutions. This coordination was done by the leadership of Team Solutions, and we've given those materials to the University of the Gambia. An equipment that could cost UTG more than $1 million is given to them free through an aspiring student leadership. Fantastic. So I think that's really, really commendable.
Fantastic, fantastic.
So that's what we are lacking in the university right now. We need a very strong collaborative partnership with other universities around the world that will help us to have exchange programs, with them, because this is what we need as a university, and we are currently lacking that. But how can we do that? Is to have a very strong and vibrant student council who will be there for the interest of the student, but not for their own selfish interest.
Of course. Fantastic initiative by Team Solutions there, and I'm sure they have a lot in store for the University of the Gambia. Kemo, I'm afraid we are coming to the end of the show. So now, let's talk about you being a youth leader, a student leader. What will be your advice for young people out there, or people that may have a desire to come to university? What will you have for people out there? People who are trying to make way for themselves in life, or people who will want to come to the university, or people who maybe have the notion that anything there is not quality. So what do you have to say for those kind of people?
Well, Tijan, I think student leadership exposed me to understand so many societal problems in the university, in the Gambia, and at both communal and national level. It also gave me that knowledge to solve practical problems that are within the realm of our society. And I think this is one thing why student leadership is very, very important, especially at tertiary institution level. So what I would advise the young people, particularly those who are yet to come to the University of the Gambia, is to strengthen their belts, and read hard to come to university, because this is the only state university that we have here. And then it is a ground that will expose you to understand societal problems. It is an institution that will determine your future. Because what we are learning today will determine nothing less than the future that we will see in our country. So I think the only place to do that is the University of the Gambia. Because like I said, when I started serving as the presidential candidate of Team Solutions, we've embarked on so many numerous activities programs within the society. Imagine, we were the first youth-led organization, as confirmed by the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, that embarked on COVID-19 sensitization campaign. This is a time when so many Gambians were living in denial that COVID-19 is not true. But we had to embark on that campaign because we thought we have a role to play as a university. In partnership with Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, we conducted that initiative, and it went well for us. We also conducted a research program, a survey for the first time in the history of the Gambia, where Gambian electors were interviewed based on their presidential candidate, based on their choice of presidential candidate in the next presidential election. So political awareness is also very, very lacking. So student leadership exposes you to all sort of activities like this. So I think it is always a very, very important avenue that can prepare our future leaders, to choose a career. As Barack Obama will always say, that our education is not the name of the certificate or degree that we acquire, but it's the name of our attitude, our actions, and desire to make change in life. Education is nothing more than this. So if you also have the same dream, I think it's better to go to the right institution that will guide you, to achieve that dream.
Of course. Viewers, I'm afraid that is all we have for you today. It's been a very, very, very interesting conversation with Kemo Fati. I am your host, Tijan Bah. Until I come your way next week again for another interesting edition of the University Students Forum. Bye. Have a good day.